Yo, I'm Jay Beershank. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're here for another edition of Book Reviews. Today we have a really great one, and an author that I recommend everyone to read for his real mirroring capabilities. When I say mirroring capabilities, I mean when you read his writing, it's a really good look into your own soul and the soul of humanity and culture, because it's just one of those really poignant reads always. And poignant usually evokes sad feelings, but sometimes it can invoke feelings of just like, wow, like sobering feelings. And that's what I feel like Aldous Huxley does for me, and that's who I'm reviewing today, Aldous Huxley, his book, The Island. If you've never heard of Aldous Huxley, he's most famous for his book, Brave New World, which basically tackles the idea that scientific advancement will dehumanize biological life and replace significance, basically over progress over life. So that's an interesting topic, and that book is very good. I've read that book before, a long time ago, long time ago. But I read this book just about a week ago, The Island. Really, really beautiful and fun book. Like I said, extremely sobering. It's the kind of book that when you're reading it, it's almost making me laugh about the way that I live my life and the way that I think, because this book helps you realize how silly it is, some of the things that we can unconsciously fall into doing and thinking and saying when we are just kind of like basically operating under this kind of like, I don't want to say programming or conditioning, but like our external environment can affect how we act, correct? So when you just are unconsciously affected and then producing those reactions, you can just kind of fall into that routine. And this book really put it in perspective for me in a very nice, beautiful, sobering, enlightening, poignant way, how ridiculous it can be. And what I mean by that is like just ways of thinking like about other people, or ways of thinking about myself, or ways of thinking about ideologies or patriotism or spirituality or anything like that. Basically, the way that this book is laid out is a man wakes up on an island. The island is basically a paradise, and all the people on the island and the whole community have created a way to basically run the civilization that makes it work for everyone. And when I say work for everyone, I mean there's no poverty, and everyone is truly happy and fulfilled. And the way that they go about doing this is, well, basically the book is divided into some key points. One of the biggest points that the way they're able to do this on the island is through the education system. And you actually get a pretty good look at their schooling system, and you get a good look of how the kids think just by, this guy asking kids questions and the kids answer him. One thing about this book is it really does feel like the author is definitely trying to hammer home a particular point in each chapter. Like the story is, it's not a terrible story, but you can tell underlying there was a serious and very loud message that he's trying to get across, that he's basically just loosely hiding within the story. So that's one thing that I found a little bit difficult about this book, is the entertainment factor might be a little bit washed over by the amount of perspective that the author is really trying to throw your way. But either way, so the civilization achieves this by their education system, well, that's the biggest one, by their education system. But then also basically youth development, like the way in which they send different genetically whatever, the way these people are born, like their inherent makeup, the way that they're made up, send them to do different things. For example, like if someone maybe is more prone to be like, I think the word they use is like a muscle man, like someone who's basically prone to be like a dominator type individual, they'll have those people do more laborious physical jobs to basically be able to get out this feeling of conquering hard things through hard work, which I think is a beautifully eloquent idea. And I kind of I've experienced that in my own life. I like to go to the gym every day, but not to do anything else other than just get out all my kind of feelings of once I can just like lift some weights and stuff, and then I leave the gym and I feel much more kind of laid back and much more just kind of willing to be present and able to be present. And then they had also different ways for someone who is Peter Pan. They talked about Peter Pan, like being able to diagnose a Peter Pan syndrome kid through their genetics, which is really interesting. Peter Pan is when a kid never grows up, and that can manifest through just like basically like serious like self-consciousness and serious immaturity of the mind and an adult. So those were really interesting concepts. So the education system and the way in which they develop the youth, but those are both kind of education systems. The book really hammers home the education system, but also when I guess diving deeper into the education system, their beliefs on spirituality are really beautiful, and that's the most poignant part about this whole book. Is I think the way that this book kind of goes is Brave New World basically says that scientific advancement will dehumanize people. This book kind of has a similar idea, but it's more about like not just scientific advancement, but cultural advancement will dehumanize people. Not even dehumanize, will bring about more chaotic minds, bring about more murky mindsets or something like that. I don't have an eloquent way to put it right now, but it's basically just about how like there is the island is a paradise, and then right off the island is India, and in India there's this colonel, he's a dictator, and he wants to come to the island and get all their oil. So people are making the island offers on their oil, but with the oil will come industrialization, but the island is trying to keep the industrialization off because they don't want all that shit. They don't want, you know, this kind of new emergent culture to come over and basically ruin their paradise. And everyone on the island is totally sane about it, and they're like, no, we don't want cars and, you know, money and lots of stupid shit here. We're totally happy and we really love our lives. But, you know, to the common person on the other side, they wouldn't understand why the people on the island don't want these amenities and these nice pleasures and these toys and, you know, these affluent whatever luxuries. So it's really interesting. And there's a point in this book where someone says, like, you know, the reason we have to destroy this island is because it's too perfect, and it actually acts as like a mocking display to the rest of the world, because if this place can run so easily with none of the stuff that everyone around the world is supposed to think that they need, well then that disrupts the whole system. So that's another reason why the colonel is trying to exterminate this place, because it's just it's too good to be real. It's really interesting. So I really enjoyed the talks about religion and philosophy. There's a lot of really good talks with Suzilla. I think that's her name, Suzilla. She's a really grounded spiritual lady. Well, grounded spiritual, that's just everyone on the island is grounded and spiritual, so when they talk you get like kind of like this like calming effect. That's another really beautiful thing about this book, is the main character Will. He's from, I think, the UK or something, but when he's talking to people on the island, sometimes Will will say something to them that's kind of snarky or kind of rude, and you'll expect the person to react a certain way because that's how everyone would react, but then they just react in the most sane, calm way, and it's just so refreshing, and it's like, whoa, oh yeah, that's, you don't have to react a certain way, which is a really great reminder. I really would recommend this book just because there's honestly so much information that I'm not really able to put back into words, because basically there was so much. Like I said, this book was really trying to hammer home certain points, but the points are really beautiful, and basically it's that like humans can live in harmony with nature. The way that humans do that is their choice, and the way that they think about things and the way that they treat each other. And the way that you get humans to that point is by giving them sane, rational education that's focused on psychology and spirituality. But not just, you know, not just those things, like also giving them a practical knowledge base, whatever, but basically giving them the tools first to be able to be sane and happy, and then giving them information, you know, about the real world facts and whatnot, but first giving them information about how to be centered within themselves, because that's the one thing you can truly never get away from is yourself. So you have to figure out, you know, how you're going to orientate yourself into the world and how you're going to view yourself, whatever. So yeah, it's really beautiful book. The Island by Aldous Huxley. The end is a little bit rushed and a little bit abrupt, I felt like. But that's just because, like I said, the author was just trying to hammer home some points, and I think he hammered home his points, and he just said, okay, I'm going to end the book now, so he just ended it. But it's still really good. I love the talks about psychedelics in this book. There's basically a psychedelic mushroom, I believe it is. They don't say mushroom, but they say moshka. I don't know what that means. I never looked it up, but basically like a psychedelic mushroom that they give people at like a certain point in their life, and then like you can choose to take it, you know, as much as you want. But it's like purely a medicine, and they use it as like basically like a glimpse at like enlightenment or whatever you want to call it. And I really loved how they handled it in such a mature way, though, where they talked about how, you know, the moshka medicine is just like is like a reminder, or it's like a window into something bigger, or, you know, it's not meant to be abused, it's meant to be purely a medicine. And the way that they describe it is really close along my lines of psychedelics, and so that was really interesting to read about. I think someone could really benefit from that if they've never thought about psychedelics or anything like that, because it's tackled from both sides. It's tackled from the culture side, which is the main character, who's like, you guys are fucking drug addicts, don't take this shit, blah blah blah. And then the really rational, sane people on the island all kind of give their opinions on it and their experiences about it. And yeah, I thought that was really cool. Yeah, so I think those are most of the main points. Might not have did a great job on this review. It's because this book was really just kind of hard for me to talk about, because the story, like I said, like I could tell you a plot overview, but the plot overview would really give you no information about the book itself, because the book doesn't really, the story doesn't matter really. It's more about what the characters are saying to each other. And I try to do my best to explain that to you, but the best way to understand what the characters are saying to each other and the point of this book would be to go read it, which I'd highly recommend. The Island by Aldous Huxley, like I said, an amazing mirror of a novel to look into your own soul, the soul of culture. And yeah, thanks guys, take it easy, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm sorry about the bad quality of this video. My camera, I think, is officially broken, but I want to keep the videos going, so I decided I'm going to do them on my phone from now on. So there we go. Peace from Chiang Mai, Thailand. Take it easy.